Heidi-ho neighbors, Radio Goji here, and welcome to Squeeze the World Toys. And today, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Titans Return Legends Class Stripes. Now, to know who Stripes is, you kind of got to know about Blaster. Now, and while I will be going into detail about Blaster in his own video later on down the road, I at least want to mention that Stripes' form factor here has a lot to do with Blaster's alt mode. For those of you who aren't familiar with Blaster and his Decepticon counterpart Soundwave, or I guess it's the other way around since Soundwave was technically first, they turned into tape decks or boom boxes, and they had little cartridge doors that opened up, or cassette doors that opened up, and they had little cassette friend robots that partnered up with them. Now, I do realize that these guys are just technically called cassettes, but I like to call them cassette friends because that's just what I like to call them. And because there are a couple of cassette friends that go with the Blaster figure, and because I was getting a Blaster figure, I figured I'd go ahead and get the cassette friends to go with him. Because yeah, that's really the only reason why I have Stripes at this point. Stripes himself really wasn't a character that was featured in the cartoon or the comics or really anything that I know of outside of a few. I looked it up and he was in a few side things. But the main cassette friends that Blaster got in the show were Eject and Rewind, who turned into from cassette tapes into humanoid robots. There was Steeljaw, who turned into a lion, and Ramhorn, who turned into a rhinoceros. Stripes here is actually a remold, or the original Stripes was actually a remold of Soundwave's Panther cassette friend Ravage. And Stripes, as you might be able to tell from the pattern here, is meant to turn into a tiger. Now, the eagle-eyed viewer will also note that, yeah, this doesn't look much like a cassette tape. Well, actually, you're right. It's not meant to look like they're not meant to really look like cassette tapes anymore, but they still have the same sort of functionality, which we will again show off in Blaster's video. But it's mainly due to the fact that despite these guys still being called cassettes, cassette tapes are an obsolete data storage medium, and to kind of update these guys, more modern variations of them have them turning into discs and memory sticks and that sort of thing, because cassette tapes really aren't relevant anymore. In the case of Titans Return, we have these guys turning into spy tablets. That's air quotes there. Basically, they're meant to look like little cell phones is a good way to put it. At least the form factor says more cell phone to me than tablet. You got the little molded-in button here that doesn't do anything, and this is basically supposed to be like a screen with an Autobot symbol as the wallpaper, and you have things like your Wi-Fi and battery symbols and messages and email and camera and stuff like that. And it kind of goes with the whole espionage thing because, well, I mean, sort of. Soundwave was the spy sort of guy. Blaster was more of a communications dude. Either way, though, they're turning them into phones. Also of note, I don't really have headphones handy. I kind of left them on the other side of the camera there, and I don't feel like going up to get them, but each of these guys actually has a little headphone jack. You can actually plug headphones into them. There's no kind of electronics or anything, so they're not going to actually do anything. It's just kind of a nice little touch. But the thing with the cassette friends in Titans Return is they also have two additional modes outside of this. So the Spy Tablet is just kind of a thing for them to fit with the whole Soundwave Blaster cassette sort of thing. But there is an actual vehicle mode with this, as well as robot beast mode thing. And because I always have been doing traditionally because I've been traditionally doing the robot mode or equivalent last on these, let's go ahead and make the alt mode, which for Stripes is an airplane. So we're going to start off by actually splitting the screen here, and something I did forget to mention is the screen itself, or the little wings. The stickers on here are not very good. Even after I got this thing out of I've had this little guy for maybe a few months now, and the stickers are prone to peeling off the edges. They've been like that since I got these. It's been like that since I got it. So the wings are basically going to fold out from the screen, and they're going to clip in place for the most part. On mine, this wing actually clips into place very, very well. There's actually a, as you can see, the clip kind of goes over the edge, whereas on this wing, not so much. It seems to be, I don't know if it was put in wrong, or if it just popped up a little bit. I mean, it'll stay in place, don't get me wrong, but it just seems kind of weird that one clips into place very well and the other one just kind of moves into place, and you can kind of push it down to get it to stay a little bit better. Then go ahead and take these two corners here, and these are going to flip up with obvious tiger legs. And these will just kind of peg into place. There's actually a peg, you can kind of see it there. That doesn't really show up on the camera very well, but there's a peg in a slot to peg it in at such an angle. This kind of an angle here. And then straighten out the tiger legs like that to make basically the tail of the plane. It looks not very tail plane-like, but it does all kind of come together in the long run. So on the bottom here, you've got the cockpit for the plane. I just kind of like get the beast head out of the way and grab it by the nose cone, put the beast head back, and there's even a little bit of landing gear that'll come out like that. And that's the plane mode, and it can actually stand in place because of the way the landing gear is. It's a neat little plane mode. I think it could look a little better, but for what they had to work with, it's not too bad. Now you can't fit a Titan Master inside, but you can see there are pegs on the back of the plane. So let's get Grimlock here. He can stand on there. He doesn't hold on very well. Like if you turn it to the side, he'll. Well, okay, he's actually staying on there. Usually, the size of the pegs usually make him fall off. The pegs are very, very shallow, but he comes off a little easily. But it's nice to know that it has enough friction to stay on there at the very least. Now for the Beast Robot mode, the Tiger mode, first things first, I'm actually going to keep the landing gear out when I push the plane cockpit back in, because that landing gear is going to pop back out the top here, because this is going to be the tail for the Tiger. Just, I know it's a small, short tail, but that's what we got to work with. Move the wings all the way to the front, like that, or whatever. I guess that's the back now, because this is going to be the front of the Tiger here. And we're going to move the Tiger legs out of the way like this, and the sides will fold up. Like so. The back legs are going to fold out from the bottom, and then this whole section is actually going to tilt up like this. Just twist the front legs into position, kind of position them like that, and then bring out the Beast Mode head. And here we have Stripes in his Tiger mode. Okay, I mean, you definitely got the Tiger mode with the stripe pattern on there, but the head really doesn't look much like a tiger. It looks kind of like it looks more reptilian than anything. If you ask me, it looks kind of like a dragon more than a feline sort of head. It definitely looks less like a tiger than the remold of the repaint of Ravage did back in the day. But from what I understand, the Titan's Return Ravage is actually a remold of this. So there you go. And you do have these little wings on here, but these are actually true to the original G1 design of it. He did have these kind of wings sticking out of his butt on the original figure. So that's actually a nice touch there. The articulation is fairly nice. You don't really have much. Well, okay, I said it was. This is very nice. It is. It really is. You do have ball joints on the front, not necessarily the back, but you have enough hinges on here to get some fairly nice tiger poses out of them, I suppose. I'm not really one who finds tiger poses for me. I just kind of have him stand there, but, you know, it looks the part, I suppose. It's definitely not one of my favorites, I would say. Of the, I mean, as we'll see, as I'll mention when we get to Rewind, Rewind is definitely the better of the two Blaster cassette friend figures, and I don't regret picking this guy up because, you know, of what I got him for, but the only reason I still have this guy around is because of Blaster. And if I were to, you know, just get this guy on his own, I probably wouldn't recommend you do that. This is definitely one that I would only recommend getting if you have Soundwave or Blaster and want something like that to go with him. On his own, though, it's not fantastic. It's good, but not great. But we'll be continuing our look at some of our cassette friends when we come back. So until then, I've been Rado Goji, and I'll be here next time. Join me, won't you?